just the background of how this started. I mean, well, actually Daniel talked about it, but Daniel is actually sticking to the original life chart method, so he's the latest in the series of people who are actually developing prototypical life chart. Before Daniel, there was Lars Arer. I mean, Lars Arer was the first to develop a life chart on a Palm device, and I'm thankful to him for introducing me to this. But, I mean, the original life chart, and from my impression and view, is not sensitive enough to measure subclinical variation to the extent that I wish to measure. So we went for visual analog scales, and you'll see how mood was measured differently. And then we have the chronorecord group that's at UCLA in Germany, and Tasha Glenn and Professor Michael Bauer in Germany have developed chronorecord. You'll see a graph from chronorecord. Chronorecord has a different methodology to mood monitoring. It assumes that a patient can be either depressed or manic, and it only has one mood rating. But it's, I mean, apart from the criticisms of its mood monitoring method, it has a very good sleep monitoring screens and very good medication monitoring. And they are doing some great work, so they are publishing really, really important papers with the work they do. And just to pay some tribute to my psychology fellows, I mean, in terms of psychometric properties, if you look at all these measures, the best really psychometrically sound daily instruments that have been developed and exist really are not the ones we're using. So the ones we're using have clinical utility in mind. They're very brief, hopefully a bit reliable and valid, but the best measures that have been developed to capture daily mood variation are the internal state scale, the inventory developed by Bauer, another Bauer, the inventor of behavior variation developed by Richard Depew, and the PANAS measure developed by David Watson. Now, Ruth was talking to you about NICE guidelines. NICE actually, in terms of therapies for bipolar disorder, psychological therapies, they don't talk about specific therapies, but they really talk about using diaries and self-monitoring. So in most therapies, keeping diaries and learning how to monitor your symptoms is recommended by NICE. And the guidelines they produce are based on data and studies, and that's the, you know, it's an important part of the recommendation. I don't believe that they are therapy. Okay, clinically they, you know, they may feel to you that yeah, they have therapeutic benefits, but we're not finding, in my data at least, we did not want to find, we're not finding really enough therapeutic effects. And if you want to develop a measure, really the measure should not affect what you're measuring. You know, if you had a thermometer that was changing your fever, how reliable would that be? So you don't want to have things like that. You know, it would pollute your data. And just to walk you through the studies really that briefly, you know, give base to actually looking at bipolar disorder in that way. And I think all our measures, essentially what we have as underlying philosophy is that bipolar disorder is a very continuous condition. It's not just having relapses or having remission and all that. It's ongoing. The major longitudinal studies that have been done document that most people, even when they are well, they spend a great deal of their time with subsyndromal depression, and they have many switches. So the switches are not documented here, but just yeah, you've seen the live chart. This is the chronorecord chart. This is what is produced by chronorecord. This is basically the mood rating of chronorecord I was telling you, which assumes the patient can either be manic or depressed, their sleep and medication. And just to compare the methods, some problems that the live chart has, I think Daniel's approach actually deals with the thing of training, but a patient needs to be trained to do this properly. So with the original paper live chart, I mean, you actually need a human time to explain to the patient that you rate both mood and function, and that's how it's done. With the you know, with the approach of iMonitor, I mean, we developed it in a question and answer format, and Daniel, in one of our conversations, had given me a good analogy of the interface being like a clinician. So, and when you develop software like that, you need to think that your software and your program becomes like a therapist itself for guiding kindly the patient through what you want them to guide. Okay, I'll just briefly compare differences. That's how the PAL life chart does it. So it measures, and that's similar to Daniel. So it measures manic depressed mood on a 4-point scale. The chrono record does the same thing on a 0 to 100 visual analog scale, and iMonitor does the same thing, but actually it uses unipolar visual analog scales. It measures high and low mood on 0 to 100 VAS scale, which we think should be applicable to non-bipolar populations as well. And we have Professor Asserson now from the Institute of Psychiatry actually using iMonitor, or a version of iMonitor, for an ADHD study, and happily they are reporting good results from it. And another important difference, this is well, we have the function measure. There is a question there looking at the functional impairment and how difficult it was for them to do things in different domains on that day. And we hope that that question, along with the mood question, would give a rating of actually mania and depression. But that's open to validation from weekly measures. And this is an addition of iMonitor that brings to all these online and other PAL life chart systems, which is the early sign. So if you see in the demo, if you see the diary itself, it can be customized to monitor up to 10 individual symptoms. To put this in, build this into the PAL life chart, it made one of my programmers almost suicidal. So it was quite a task for poor Andy actually to develop this. So I just thanked him publicly for accomplishing this. It's easy to put just a form, a non-dynamic form on a PAL device, but when you start doing more complicated things, it becomes a lot more complicated. Yeah, just a few other things that it monitors just in comparison to. But these are the important things. And another important, well, two more important things of iMonitor is that behind all this operation, there is basically a log function that monitors all behavior, all user behavior. So if someone is undecisive and they play around with the slider, this is recorded. So it's like Big Brother, but it's important data for us because we can see indecisiveness, we can see cheating with the device. I had quite a few patients who would do their diary 10 minutes before our monthly appointment. They would know that we monitor that. We didn't lie to them, but they would still do it 10 minutes before. And you could see from the log function that this was the case. That basically they were cheating with their self-monitoring. Yeah, but it's important non-self-report objective data that we get from it. Just quickly walk you through this. Basically, a patient logs in the ATM screen. They confirm the date. They go through two screens with a clock where they basically select when they went to bed and when they woke up. And then they have the questions about their activity, their mood, and so forth. And it ends. The important thing to do this, we use this so-called iterative programming design, which is basically driving your programmer mad, because you don't just give them a blueprint, you continue to evaluate the software as you develop it in order to deal with any usability problems. So essentially, one nice feeling you get out of it is that you can do this in 2 minutes, and that's from objective data. And you don't even feel it, you just fly through this. So the experience of doing it, you just have to come and try it. What people didn't get and they don't get with this system is any feedback about what they do. And we didn't include any feedback because we didn't want to influence outcome. And we know from other self-monitoring psychology studies that if you want to actually introduce therapeutic effects in any self-monitoring efforts, you need to provide feedback. And Daniel is doing quite a lot of it. You see his SRM hit rate, and people can see how they have been on different mood days. This is feedback. And when you do a study where you actually want only to get variability without affecting outcome, you don't want to affect feedback. So we want people to be better, but when you do a scientific study, you need to take these things into account.